Okay, thank you all. Now you will have your opportunity to sum up your evidence and tell me your closing arguments in support of your respective parties' cases. The applicant is to go first, followed by the respondent, and then I'll give a short right of reply to the applicant to whatever the respondent has told me. So we'll start firstly with Mr Pink's representative, Linka.
Thank you. So starting with the key facts, I think it has been established before the authority that Mr Pink was employed as a labourer by Ms Cabot starting on the 17th of June 2013 to work. On the day in question, on the 17th of June 2013, he was approached by Ms Cabot when he was with his colleagues at a smoko. Ms Cabot understood that at that time the diamonds had been stolen. She then pulled Mr Pink away from his colleagues to his distress and had a private meeting with him, stating that he had stolen the diamonds and that he had to go. At no point did Mr Pink have an opportunity to respond to those allegations, and what was also clear from the evidence we heard from Ms Cabot is that she did no further investigation beyond speaking to Mr White. What we also heard today was that Mr White himself had also been in the toilet where the diamonds were found, and that neither Mr Pink nor Mr White had had their hands examined to see if there was any security dye on their hands. That raises the questions as to whether an adequate investigation was really carried out. As a result of this, we believe that a fair and reasonable process hasn't been followed in terms of Section 103A of the Employment Relations Act 2000, and Mr Pink was unjustifiably dismissed because in particular there was an insufficient investigation of the allegation by Ms Cabot, and there was no reasonable opportunity for Mr Pink to respond. I think it is quite clear that her actions caused significant humiliation to Mr Pink in front of his colleagues, and also taking into account Mr Pink's personal situation, as stated in his evidence before the authority, that he is a single father who has been without an income for a long time as a consequence of Ms Cabot's unjustified dismissal. Turning to the respondent's evidence, she said that she did not trust Mr Pink and she could dismiss him. However, there was no reasonable basis for that mistrust apparent on the evidence. She did not examine the hands, she did not see Mr Pink come out of the toilet himself where the diamonds were found, and he was not allowed an opportunity to respond to the allegations. As a result, I submit there is a strong case here for asking unpaid wages for 3 months for Mr Pink's dismissal and for a payment of a sum of $5,000 for his humiliation.
Thank you. Mike, can you present your closing submission?
Yes, in summary, the key facts are Mr Pink signed an employment agreement and was dismissed on 17 June 2013. On the same day, someone stole some diamonds. Ms Cabot asked Mr Pink about it. She took him outside and asked him what he knew about the diamonds, and he failed to use that opportunity to respond. In terms of the evidence presented today, Mr Pink said he was confronted about the issue in front of his colleagues. He was in fact taken aside and her concerns were put to him in private. In terms of the allegation, Ms Cabot clearly put her concerns to Mr Pink. He had an opportunity to respond to those and he failed to do so. We also heard inconsistencies in Mr Pink's evidence. He told Ms Cabot he was in Mr White's presence all of the day, and today he told the authority he was apart for 15 minutes, in which he alleges he was at a supermarket getting a can of V. There is no evidence to support that. He also confirmed here today he was in the bathroom where the diamonds were later found. I submit there is a question as to how honest Mr Pink has been with Ms Cabot in terms of what he was in fact doing that day. I submit Mr Pink was given a fair chance to respond to Ms Cabot's concerns and he failed to take that chance. In terms of humiliation, I submit there was no humiliation, and if there was, it is something he brought upon himself in not participating in the discussion fully with Ms Cabot. I finally submit that Mr Pink was justifiably dismissed. And note, in relation to the claim for lost wages, there is no evidence that Mr Pink has made a reasonable effort to find another job. And there's no shortage of labouring jobs. That's all.
Thank you for your closing remarks. You now have a right to respond, Linka.
Thank you. There is no evidence to support that the respondents claim that there are plenty of labouring jobs at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for your closing submissions. I'll take a short recess and we'll come back and do my decision.